Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time for the 8-bit Olympics, guys. Now first off, we're going to be explaining some of the more detailed parts of 8-bit's mechanics, specifically his super, which can be a little confusing at times. And then we'll be putting 8-bit through the Olympics events, which will help us understand how he compares to every other brawler in the game. Now I will be releasing another video later today covering everything else that's coming in the update, including balance changes and this changes to like the star point reward system. So make sure you guys subscribe for that so you do not miss it. For starters, guys, 8-bit is a trophy road brawler, meaning that everyone will unlock him once they pass 6,000 trophies. Now, if you're past 6,000 trophies, but you have not unlocked the mega box yet from that reward point, you should absolutely open it up before this update hits or you will miss out on those rewards. Now, regarding his artwork, I believe he's from the Metropolis area of the Brawl universe, and he might even be a replacement for one of those old-fashioned jukeboxes now. I don't know, maybe Brawl's getting into the 70s. Now, for his main attack, Blaster Beams, he shoots out a series of 6 fast lasers that each deal a decent amount of damage in a straight-ish line. Now I say straight-ish because while the aiming bar looks like a straight line, there is just a bit of spread by the time like the bullets actually reach maximum range. But if you actually aim directly at a target at max range, all 6 shots will hit the target, so the only time that this will actually impact things is if your aim is slightly off. The impressive thing about his attacks is that it's a high amount of damage for the range that it reaches. This is balanced by his slow movement speed that makes him really hard to like juke shots or like chase someone down or escape from somebody that's chasing you down. For a super damage booster, he throws down a turret that increases the damage output of all friendly brawlers while they are standing in range of it. Now, the thing that really matters is when the attack is actually activated. So like if a brawler like El Primo jumps outside of the circle, he'll still do extra damage because he activated it while he was in the circle. Now his super actually buffs damage from all attacks, almost all supers, and a few star powers. Now, all supers that deal damage will get a buff by this special. Poco's super will also get buffed by 30%, meaning that it will heal 30% more as well. But Pam's healing turret does not get a buff because spawnables are not affected by this turret. And this includes Pam's, Jesse's, and Penny's turrets, as well as Nita's bear and Tara's shadow. Now, regarding star powers, it does get a little bit more complex. Star powers that do damage over time, like Brock's Incendiary or El Primo's El Fuego, do not get bonus damage. For star powers that increase damage by a certain amount, like a specific amount, like plus 200 or plus 1,000, those also do not get buffed, like Dynamite's Demolition or Barley's Extra Noxious. However, for brawlers that have a star power that increases damage by a certain percentage, rather than a specific amount, the 30% is added on top of it. So Frank's Power Grab, which increases it by 50%, will actually increase the attacks by 80% total if he killed a brawler and he's standing within the turret's range, meaning that he actually deals a total of 3,024 damage with a single attack, and that's really crazy. Now, Mortis's Creepy Harvest star power restores Mortis for whatever HP he deals with his super, and since his super will deal 30% more damage when he's standing within the circle, he also heals 30% more as well. Additionally, star powers that increase reload speed indirectly get buffed by 8-bit's super. For example, Piper's Snappy Sniping increases reload speed, which allows her to attack more frequently and deal that 30% more damage as well, which that's actually a crazy combination if you ask me. Now 8-bit does have 2 star powers, however he's only going to be released with the first one, and then we'll see the second one later on, but I do still have a description for you. For his first star power, Boosted Booster, it increases the range of his super by 50%. Now without his star power, 8-bit's turret covers the same exact range as Pam's turret does, with a radius of 3 1/3 tiles. With the star power, his turret reaches a radius of 5 tiles, which means that it actually covers 125% more area. 8-bit's second star power is going to be 1-up, and this actually allows 8-bit to respawn instantly once per game. Now, I can't show you any gameplay of this, but it will be released on a later date. Here's my understanding of what this means. Just like you respawn in Duo Showdown, once per game, 8-bit will respawn instantly wherever he died and will be immune for a few seconds, just like everybody's immune when they respawn. Upon death, he will lose all power cubes in Showdown, as well as other items that he's carrying, like gems, bolts, or like the Brawl Ball. Okay guys, now that we've covered his basic mechanics, let's jump into the Olympic tests to see how he compares to every other brawler in the game. I should note that I haven't updated the Brawl Olympics series since they've released second star powers in the game, so the placements will actually be determined by like the first star power being released for each brawler. I'm pretty sure you guys want me to update the series now that a lot of things have changed with the new star powers, so make sure you subscribe for that. But if you don't want that, I guess you could let me know in the comment section. I appreciate that kind of feedback as well. The videos take a long time to make, so I'd rather save my time if you don't want to watch it. The range test. Now, when you line up 8-Bit's attack up against the ruler, you'll notice really quickly that it has a range of 9 2/3 tiles, which is the exact same as Leon's attack range. However, Leon's has a spread, and 8-Bit's is in a straight line, so a little bit more direct damage. Now, when compared to attack ranges alone, this ties him for Leon for 4th longest, and it's 1/3 of a tile shorter than Brock's and Piper's attacks, and 2/3 of a tile longer than Jesse's, Penny's, and Pam's attacks. Now, for his super, 8-Bit throws with a range of 4 2/3 tiles, and the turret has an effective radius of 5 tiles. Add that together, and you get a range for his super of 9 2/3 tiles as well. Now, in the gameplay, it actually looks like it has a 10 tile radius, but it's actually only effective up to 9 2/3 tiles, and this is the 16th longest ranging super in the game. And when you compare it to all attacks and all supers, he takes 19th for longest range in the game out of 28 brawlers, which isn't super great. The race test. Now, 8-Bit's movement speed is even slower than I first thought it was. It takes him an entire 15.7 seconds to complete the race test, moving from the bottom of the map to the top of the map. And as you can see, guys, he's way slower than Nita, and there is no way that he's ever going to be able to escape a BB when she's using her home run star power. Now, 8-Bit moves at an incredibly slow pace of 1.9 tiles per second, which makes him 27% slower than most brawlers, 27% slower than Nita, and he's even 7% slower than Nita's bear, which previously was the slowest moving character in the game. Because of this, it is incredibly difficult to juke shots as 8-Bit, and you can completely forget about chasing or running away from enemy brawlers. Even like tripping Bo's mines is incredibly difficult. I don't even know if it's possible. I've tried, by the way. I failed every time. Maybe somebody else could do it. The survival test. Now, 8-Bit does not have any healing or shielding mechanics to help him survive for a longer period of time, and that means that all he has is his HP to help him survive. He ends up lasting for 16.6 seconds against the sniper bot, which is exactly as long as Carl and Barley lasted the last time we ran this test. Overall, this gives 8-Bit the 10th highest survivability in the game out of 28 brawlers, which is pretty good. I wouldn't say that he's super tanky, but he does seem to have some decent survivability, though he will be a very easy target due to his slow movement speed, so we'll actually see if it's very effective. The attack test. Now, 8-Bit shoots out 6 lasers with every single attack. Without his super buffing him, they each deal 476 damage, bringing his max hit to 2,856 damage, which places him in 4th place for the attack test. He's right between Pam at 3,024 damage and Bull at 2,800 damage, which really shows how strong his attack really is. But what's even more impressive is his attack when he's allowed to use his super, which buffs it by 30%, bringing each attack to 618 damage, which is a total possible damage with a single max attack of 3,708 damage, which gives him the 2nd highest damaging attack in the game. And he's only beaten by Spike when Spike's able to do a complete attack on a large target with like all 6 spikes and the cactus. So I mean, like, that's not very effective in battle, and so it kind of doesn't count. That means that 8-Bit effectively has the most damaging attack in the game, and that is absolutely nuts. But what's even crazier is that he actually has a pretty good reload speed as well. The reload test. Now, it takes 8-Bit 5.7 seconds to completely unload and completely reload 3 attacks. This translates to a complete reload speed of 1.9 seconds, which is exactly the same as Shelly's actually. For reference, it's very slightly slower than Rosa's and very slightly faster than Rico's reload speeds. Now, this gives 8-Bit the 8th fastest reload speed in the game, which is very impressive when you consider the fact that he has potential to deal so much damage with his attack paired up with his super, or even without his attack paired up with his super. The super test. Now the goal of the super test is to compare how effective supers are at dealing damage to enemy players or healing teammates. Because 8-Bit doesn't have a super that directly damages enemy players, he places last, I guess. I don't know, but the best way to compare his super is to actually use the boss test, which will be later in this video. The charge test. For 8-Bit to charge up his super, it requires 12 hits, and meaning that he's able to do that with only 2 complete attacks. If all shots hit, he can do that in 1.2 seconds, which is incredibly fast. This is very similar to the charge rate of Pam, Colt, and Daryl, meaning that 8-Bit will actually be able to charge and recharge his super very easily. By the way, guys, 8-Bit doesn't actually charge his super any faster when he's within range of his current turret, so that doesn't help him actually. The boss test. The boss test is really important for comparing 8-Bit to other brawlers because he doesn't have a super that directly deals damage to enemies. 8-Bit uses 2 quick attacks to charge up his super, and then he throws it down, which then buffs his attack from that point on. In total, it takes him 49.2 seconds to take out the bot by himself, which is actually just as long as it takes El Primo to do the same when El Primo is using his super. Also, El Fuego, which helps deal a little bit of damage as well. Now this gives 8-Bit 10th place in the boss test and puts him right between Bo at 49.2 seconds and Colt at 42.4 seconds. The swarm test. 8-Bit doesn't have a great way to take out more than 1 target at a time. Luckily though, he is able to clear 2 bots with a single attack if he's within range of his turret. By lining things up just right, it takes 8-Bit 16.2 seconds to take them all out, which really is not very impressive. He's 24th out of 28 brawlers, and it's kind of only just barely bearable to watch him complete the challenge. The dive test. 8-Bit actually does incredibly well with the dive test if you do it correctly. This is done by throwing the turret while he's running in so that he can then get a few shots onto the Ike turret with his buffed attack damage. Doing that and then letting the turret tank a bit for 8-Bit allows him to kind of like stay alive just a bit longer. And if you do this right, 8-Bit can deal 14.8 thousand damage on the Ike turret by himself, which is just under half of the Ike's health. This is crazy. I still need to redo this test to make the rules more applicable to actual battle, but by my calculations, this gives 8-Bit the highest dive potential in the game, with Bull coming in second with 12.3 thousand damage. I mean, it's crazy. He's going to be insane if those conditions are actually perfect for him to do that kind of a dive. Okay guys, now that we've gone through all this, let's go ahead and kind of do a wrap up and talk about what I think about 8-Bit. After reviewing all of these tests and stats, it might sound like 8-Bit is going to be a super strong brawler. In all reality though, I don't think he's going to be too OP. His ability to deal damage is absolutely incredible, and the fact that he can help his teammates deal more damage is also pretty insane. But once you've actually played with him, you start to get a feel for his slow movement speed, and you start to really see how hard it's going to be to do what you want with him. It's really difficult for you to dodge shots, and you can't increase area control by sweeping from side to side like you can with Colt and Rico. And like it's actually pretty frustrating when you're playing with him for the first time because of how slow it is. You're just not used to it. It's because of this slow movement speed that I think that 8-Bit is going to be a high skill, high reward brawler. Don't get me wrong though, guys. I still think that he'll be A tier and S tier in most of the modes, but you'll see what I mean when you actually get to play with him and you feel how slow it is. I think that 8-Bit's best 2 modes are going to be Heist and Siege, where his damage output is going to be really beneficial, and I think that his worst 2 modes are going to be Showdown and Brawl Ball. Brawl Ball because of the lack of movement speed, which is so important in Brawl Ball, and then Showdown because also he has that hard time running away from those tough situations as well. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about 8-Bit, and once again guys, I'm going to be going over the other stuff that's going to be released in this update in a video later today, so make sure you do not miss that sneak peek. Hope you enjoyed the video guys. For now, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.